Do you guys remember BlizzCon last year? It didn't really go very well for Blizzard, did it? It was pretty bad. This year, though, oh my god, check this out, guys. But before we do that, remember this?
Is there any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this strictly mobile forever?
Are there any? The current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
Oh dear. We've all got phones, ladies and gentlemen. That will go down in history. I mean, I feel so sorry for the guy that said that. But that's a huge unlucky, and what can you do about it? Diablo Immortal, nobody wanted that. Mobile game at BlizzCon, which is a PC and console-focused thing, to come out with a mobile game, especially for Diablo, which everyone was expecting a big announcement for. Yeah, not great. Although, maybe we're going to get a big fancy announcement for Diablo this year. So, what we're going to do in this video is take a look at a report from CNBC. This is a financial website, financial news provider. It's interested in stocks and shares and all of that. Now, there are these things called analysts, and what they do is advise people where to spend their money. They give you advice on market trends and all of that. So, if you wanted to buy some stocks and shares for a company, maybe you would speak to an analyst, maybe you'd read stuff on CNBC and other things like Bloomberg and stuff like that, and think, okay, I want to invest in video games. What do I do? Do I invest in Blizzard? Well, an analyst is saying, yeah, invest in Blizzard right now because of, well, we're going to get on into this video why, but yeah, let's just get a bit of backstory first. So, first things first, the company has lost more than half its value in the last 4 months, with shares dropping roughly 52% from their recent high in October. The drastic move in stock has the street divided on whether this represents a bargain buy or if investors should steer clear. So this was the impact after the whole, you guys have got phones, the completely terrible BlizzCon in 2018, the worst one on record. It looked like Blizzard are running out of ideas. They don't have anything new to show us. What are they doing? So stock holders and people with the shares, they start selling, right? And this causes their value to collapse, because if you start selling loads of shares, value will go down. The market doesn't want the shares, so they become cheaper. Now, the gamble is, do the people that play the stock market buy the Blizzard shares and think, well, it's Blizzard, right? They might recover at some point. And this analyst is saying, yeah, that's exactly what you should be doing. But it's also been a pretty bad year for Blizzard, and especially Blizzard employees. So yeah, the company has had a miserable winter, with its stock price cut in half between last October and mid-February. The company cut jobs and said it was going to focus more on its key franchises. Now, with new updates and sequels coming for popular brands such as Overwatch and Diablo, the stock is picking up steam. They did a good job of framing 2019 as a transition year and a sort of bottom in terms of the content cycle. We're expecting a lot more coming in 2020, said Jeff Cohen, a research analyst at Stephens. Okay, so this is Jeff Cohen confirming we are going to get an Overwatch sequel and a Diablo sequel at BlizzCon marquee announcements. That's what he's saying. How he got this information, I don't know. He's an industry analyst. It's within his sort of remit to look for this kind of stuff to advise his investors. Wow. I mean, that's actually the first time I've seen Overwatch 2 reference beyond like a leak. Like, he's straight up saying there is going to be it's just going to be a sequel. It's going to come out. That is really interesting. Of course, I don't know where this guy's got his info from, but remember, this is a financial website. This isn't a gaming website. This isn't something where people are writing stuff up for like, oh yeah, it's a leak or whatever. They're kind of giving you advice on where to spend your money, and if it's wrong, then, but of course, investments are always at people's own risk. So yeah. But it's not just Cohen, because other analysts are jumping on board, with Stephens upgrading the stock to overweight from equal weight on Thursday and giving the stock target a price of $65 per share. Putting Overwatch on the Switch gives the company another avenue to monetize its user base. There's a great deal of overlap between the Switch install base and the Xbox and PlayStation install base, but I do think there's an opportunity out there for them to basically sell a second copy to people who already have the game. Apologies as well, guys. My voice is still a bit ropey. I think I've apparently got laryngitis, so it's not great for me. Anyway, yeah, so this makes sense, right? It's on the Switch. People who've played on other consoles will probably buy the Switch version, because that's what we do. We buy the Switch version of games. I have never been, I'm probably going to get destroyed for this, but I've never been the biggest fan of Nintendo games, mainly because I've never really played them. I've never really had the time, or, I didn't grow up with Nintendo Game Boys and DSs and all of that stuff. Well, it would have been Game Boy Advance for me, and and yeah, Game Boy Color probably. Oh no, I did have a Game Boy Color because I had Pokemon on it. I remember that as a kid. Anyway, but I never really played much of their games. But I've got a Switch and I play on the Switch all the time. But what I play on the Switch is games, well, versions of games I've already got on my PC. So a lot of like indie game titles, which I play a lot on my Switch. I like Into the Breach, for example. If any of you guys know that, it's really cool on mobile. That's kind of what I do. It's a bit weird. So yeah, I'll get Overwatch on Switch because I'm an Overwatch nutter, you know? So that makes sense. So then Cohen goes on to say a little bit about World of Warcraft Classic here. So he said, Cohen said he expected that the launch would be a retention tool, but is instead bringing in new subscribers, signaling an appetite among consumers for more World of Warcraft games that are in the pipeline. I mean, that's fair, right? We're going to get a Warcraft expansion. You always get that. I'm really enjoying WoW Classic because I never played WoW Classic. So to me, it's actually a really cool, refreshing experience. If you played WoW Classic and come back to it, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a different experience for you. But anyway, he goes on to say this. New games are a risky proposition for companies that rely heavily on consumer sentiment. Electronic Arts is one of the latest examples of that, receiving a tepid reception for its new game Anthem earlier on in the year, which is true because Anthem was actually terrible, but it was a bad game. It wasn't like it was like Blizzard don't generally launch a bad game. The games will probably be good, but it's just we need to know when they're coming out. And yeah. And this is where Cohen really gets down. And again, he says that, gives us the nitty-gritty details. He says, Cohen said he expects another World of Warcraft expansion later this year, an Overwatch sequel or expansion next year, and Diablo 4 in 2021. The company is expected to clarify its release schedule at BlizzCon in November. So here he kind of goes back a little bit and he's saying, yeah, Overwatch sequel or an expansion. So he's kind of gone from saying it's an expansion to it's a sequel, to it's an expansion. So still, I don't think anybody really knows if it's Overwatch 2 or if it's just an expansion. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens there. Diablo 4 though, that's an interesting proposition to me because we need something about that. And if that comes out in 2021, then probably what we'll get at BlizzCon will be whatever the Overwatch announcement is, let's say Overwatch 2, and then we also get maybe a cinematic trailer for Diablo 4, and then that's all we get, and then a release date or some sort of lead up to it. Now, what this does is, we actually covered this in a couple of videos before for Overwatch, where I think me and Josh spoke about this, but basically you would be looking at next year. We know Overwatch 2 is coming out, but Overwatch 1 grinds down to a halt, right? Because we've still got Overwatch League happening next year, and then Overwatch 2 comes out in 2020. Or 2021. Yeah, because it's 2019 at the moment. And then Diablo 2 comes out in that year as well, if this analyst is to be believed. Well, I don't know. I think this could be really cool, guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Remember, this is it's a financial website. He's an analyst. It's his job to kind of predict what's going on with companies. And I think this is the first time I've seen that's not been on like a game website or a YouTube's channel or some madman on Twitter, where this analyst is saying straight up, yeah, we're going to have a very big BlizzCon year, buy Blizzard stock, because that's what he's saying, right? And he wouldn't be telling his clients that if it didn't make sense. So the current stock price, let me just do, this is actually live Googling. I think it's about $55 for Blizzard. Oh, apparently my internet's gone down. That is unlucky. Yeah, no, that's unlucky. I think it's about $55. Anyway, on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I will end the video. My throat is destroyed. Apologies for the lack of video the other day. Again, it's because I can't really talk. I'm trying to push through. I did want to make this video because I think it'd be cool. But yeah, all right, guys. You can follow me on Twitter. It's all on the screen and my voice is going. I'll catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.